Welcome to a new episode of the Uncontrollables.
Episode 19, and that was Gina, and she, if you guys have been looking at Facebook, she is the sexy cop that you guys have all been seeing pictures of.
Allegedly.
I'm gonna be taking a back seat this episode and kind of just throwing random crap out because I'm still
Incapacitated.
I'm not incapacitated. I'm still recovering from this past weekend, which we might get into a little bit here later.
I think that's topic number one, actually.
Yeah, there's no later on that one, which we're about to get into right now.
Starting now. But this is episode 19.
Sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. Everything that's wonderful is what I feel when we're together. Brighter than a lucky penny when you're near. The rain goes, disappears, dear, and I feel so fine just to know that you are mine.
We wanted to start off with that one because we know that Maya is always sunshine, lollipops, and
Which
rainbows.
everyone found out because my weekend was live streamed on Ustream.
Yay!
I'm Chris Spangle, by the way.
Yeah,
welcome,
we don't
Spangle
care about
Bear.
you.
Thanks for introducing
You're
me.
the host of the We Are Libertarians podcast. You run the WAL network. You're kind of instrumental to all of this existing in the first place, and you are to blame for all of my shenanigans.
That's true.
Some, yes.
And yet, I still don't get a credit at the beginning of the show. Like, hey, Gina's here. Gina, you look so lovely. Despite the fact that
Didn't
we're
I
in
say
my
I'm
apartment.
still recovering? I'm not all here right now. Leave me alone.
Right.
Because you were all sunshine and lollipops.
Rainbows.
I was giggle-tastic this weekend.
Oh, that was awesome.
All right, so let Gina introduce the show. Gina?
Hi, I'm Gina. This is the Uncontrollables. We will be taking over for Maya this evening because we decided that she may or may not be capable of pulling this off on her own today. With me today is Spangle Bear,
Hi there.
and beside Spangle Bear is Gummy Bear.
Oh my God!
By the way, kids, gummy bears have toes. Maya,
These-
please.
These gummy bears had toes, and you guys didn't believe me.
I will confirm because I thought that she had lost her damn mind that these gummy bears actually had toes.
There was extensive coverage of the gummy bears this weekend.
It's true. It's true. They were everywhere. So when we arrived, actually, Spangle, how about we introduce how it was that we came to be part of the broadcast on Saturday?
Okay.
Are we admitting openly what went down on Saturday? Like, I don't know what your
We're not
ground
giving
rules are.
specifics, but we
We're
can talk
gonna
about
just
what
say
happened.
that something was consumed and
Okay.
a state of mind.
Here,
was
I've got a
reached.
good, a decent explanation here.
We're calling it we're calling it my solar vacation.
Okay, so Maya decided to expand her mind and enhance its capabilities, and so she may or may not have ingested some completely legal substances this weekend that had a psychedelic effect on her behavior.
Enhanced her capabilities so much that you and I are guest hosting the show.
3
You know
days
what?
later.
There's a healing recovery process involved.
And it could flash back on her at any moment.
Wait, what?
Lord willing.
Yeah.
Shit.
So I'm just gonna admit, I was chilling in my bathtub on Saturday.
Which I'm
It's-
picturing right now.
Sherry, a nice relaxing bubble bath.
Right,
Reading
yeah.
a romance novel.
Well, no, I don't do romance novels. So it's me and Ayn Rand, a little bit of lunch in the bathtub. And Spangle Bear texts me, and he's like, I am going to go cop knock on Maya's door and just scare the shit out of her. And I was like, that is a fucking awesome idea, but wait for me because I have a cop's uniform. That would be really funny to incorporate into this little ploy.
So I'm thinking it's like a cop uniform. She's going to show up in a cop uniform and it'll all be good. And then Gina showed up and I was
And
like,
boy, was it ever a cop uniform.
it wasn't so much of a uniform as more of a cop bathing suit.
Yeah, it was.
So I can
Skin
identify.
tight bathing suit.
I just like to go on record on audio that if we ever need anyone to identify Gina's body, I know of certain marks that will distinguish her from other corpses.
Yeah, we had a moment where I realized I had a very intimate birthmark that was revealed from this tiny little suit.
Now you were wearing a cop uniform. Okay, it was like basically a hot pant onesie.
Yeah, with a
With
zipper at the
sleeves.
with
front.
a zipper and some sleeves. And you were wearing thigh-high black. What fabric were they, boots?
Oh, I don't know. Perhaps vinyl or
Yeah,
leather.
sort of a leather.
Yeah,
but
fake
they're
leather.
nice black shiny boots that I forgot to lick. We were supposed to go back inside off the dirty pavement, and then oh my God, continue because I'm living that dream right now.
So, I guess the
Well,
backstory.
first, while I was waiting on you, I took a monkey
yes,
because I don't do drugs, so I don't really know much about.
And when
the-
Spangle says he doesn't do drugs, Spangle doesn't drink alcohol.
No.
Spangle's never had a cigarette. Spangle has no idea what an outside substance would, what kind
Well,
of.
no,
effect.
he's addicted to nasal spray,
That's
which is
true.
an Afrin
True.
knockoff
He
and a
is
couple
an
other things,
Afrin
but
addict.
Yeah,
caffeine pills, the legal drugs that we say it's okay,
right, but
which are slowly killing.
I don't
him.
need someone to babysit me for 8 hours and then I have someone host my show for me 3 days later. So
2 days later.
So I can take a good nice sniff and I'll be fine here in the next half hour.
You know
but
what? What happens when you stop taking those sniffs?
that's
You
true.
turn into a horrible monster.
Is it a
As opposed to
Spangle
what?
Grizzly?
All right, let's get back to Maya because this is about Maya.
You're gonna want to pick on me and judge me.
Judging
Hashtag
Maya.
judging Maya.
So, I'm waiting on Gina, and she's on LPT.
always?
Let's put it that. So she's always running 30 to 45 minutes late,
Given.
and so I'm sitting in the car bored, and I'm watching the live feed out in my car, and I'm like, all right, so I've got this plush toy monkey, and
Who
I'm gonna
doesn't?
yeah. So I've got this.
Wait. Why do you have a plush toy monkey just hang out in your car?
You never know when you're gonna need to drive in the 2-person lane.
Right. Shits and giggles.
You never know when.
You gonna get pulled over and go, officer, I have a passenger.
monkey.
Don't you see him? Don't ignore him.
If I get pulled over for weed, it's his. So I take the monkey and I set it down on the floor and I knock real loud and then I run into the laundry room. Well, the laundry room door is the slowest closing door in the history of the world. And I'm standing there watching the feed and it's about 2 or 3 minutes slow. So like 2 minutes later, I see me knock. I hear it on the feed. And then Maya is standing right by the peephole and looks out, and she just starts shaking her head. But it was funny because, like, it turned into like a game, like a cat with a toy. Like, peephole, and then she put her eye right in front of the peephole, and then pull her head away. Put her eye in front of the peephole, pull it away quick, just in case someone could reverse see in the peephole. You got to be careful.
Right.
Got to be very careful. You
Do
wouldn't want
not
to be
make
found
eye
out.
contact.
Wouldn't want anyone to see you while you're streaming your drug use. So, so the door closes and
Enlightenment tool.
then
use.
I hear, I'm not falling for that shit. I'm like, damn, got found out.
You can't even trip me up when I'm tripping. You
I know.
Come on now.
And then so you wander out, and I text Shining Spirit, who was your psychedelic Sherpa,
Right.
and I say, convince Maya that monkey is the one who knocked. And he was trying his hardest, but it just wasn't working. And so he walks towards the door to open the door to get the monkey, and Maya takes Axe body spray and a lighter and makes it a blowtorch, and it flashes right in front of Shining Spirit's face.
Oh my God.
And, like, Shining Spirit has a lot of hair. That would have been a really smelly situation.
Debacle.
And it would have smelled very bad had Shining Spirit's face burned off. And then the door
It would have been
opened.
the smell that inconvenienced us. That would have been the problem.
Exactly right.
Not his melting flesh.
And so then that would have smelled bad too. I would have found that unpleasant. And so Maya opens the door, opens the laundry room. I see you. And then laughs like that and then starts stroking my arm and goes, you gotta do this. I was like, wow,
You're such a douchebag.
but that's exactly what you said.
Yes.
Yes. So then I go back to my car, and then I wait for Gina, and then Gina shows up and steps out of her car, and I'm
What
like,
was it? How long did that take?
that was about a span of 10 minutes, and then when I went back to my car, I waited another 15 minutes.
That
And
seemed like days.
You went back in, and you continued to screw around in the kitchen, and so then you came out and smoked 3 times in that 15 minutes. That is not an exaggeration, 3 times.
Yeah, I had to stay in my car when I got there because you were smoking.
Right. And so Gina gets out of her car, and I'm like, well, that's an inappropriate outfit for a Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m.
And Gina said, well, thank you.
I love it. Let's go in. And so you cop knocked, and then I'm watching I'm watching the feed, and Maya is just doing the same thing where like eyeball over, eyeball away, eyeball over, eyeball away, and then opens up. And you said you could see her little bean head poking around the.
Yeah, I saw her when she originally first ducked out of the way, and you told her because she looked over and you could hear you say something to her about move over more or something.
Right.
And I'm like, I can see you people. And like in the back of my mind, I knew you could see me. I didn't realize there's a long lag time. I'm like, they can see me seeing them. What are they still hiding for? And then you guys open the door. And I watched the video of this part, and I'm in the kitchen. You guys open the door, and the front door closes off the kitchen, so you can't see it. You come in there, hold your arms up, and you're like, what the hell? Where is she?
Exactly.
And I'm like, behind you.
And I grab the spatula. You poke your arm around with your phone. I start smacking the crap out of your hand with the spatula. I'm like, I got you.
And then one of
At
us.
some point, a Ginzu knife came out.
Yes, after the spatula, one of us grabs the spatula to protect ourselves. So Maya sees me and immediately pulls out a large knife, which I'm like, great. And I'm like, great. That's just exactly what I need. Someone with a giant knife wielding it around to look like that Taco Bell commercial.
She ended up lodging it into like a piece of furniture she had setting nearby. It was quite intimidating.
Poor Ichigo. But the
He was locked in the back room because I
Chinese
was told
food never tastes better that night. Very fresh.
you don't pet a kitty or an animal when you are taking an enlightenment tool.
That makes sense because there are studies that show that it can leach through your skin, and the last thing you need is an excessively enlightened kitty.
Ichigo would be awesome.
Ichigo would. Ichigo would.
Ichi. Go.
Ichigo. I'm from Indiana. It's called Ichigo.
Right. I had never been in Maya's place, so I was really impressed by her. What the hell do you even call that
Decor?
screen projector thing?
Just a projector?
It was
with a screen?
badass. It takes up like a good like doorway entryway.
It's
in
a
her unit.
72-inch screen.
I found it
Nice.
totally appropriate that James Neese's name was in every shot of that video.
I thought that was hilarious too.
Maya has yard signs from the campaigns that she's worked on, and James Neese, a friend who takes frequent trips, was on the wall.
He doesn't go to outer space. He goes I don't know where he
He
goes.
doesn't
Yeah.
go to outer space. He just stays.
He
Well, no, it's
visits.
James Neese, Rupert, the king of tie-dye.
right.
I know. I
And
didn't
then-
feel like a stereotype walking into that video in my Rupert tie-dye. I didn't feel like a tie-dye
Oh, you
stereotype
didn't feel
at
like
all.
a stereotype.
You were
But
you were
you're-
an all original.
And what's amazing is that Gina here, we need to kind of give some, because the pictures don't really tell you. She's 4'11".
Yeah, I'm excessively
You
small.
weigh what, maybe 65, 70
A
pounds?
little more
She's
than
not
that.
an
You just had a
infant.
kid like 30 days ago or some
She
shit.
finally, at 32, is no longer riding in a car seat.
Right, I managed to get out of one, and I'm 31. Fucker.
And so,
Sorry, my
you know,
bad.
even with these high heel, thigh-high boots on, you're still this itty-bitty little thing. I couldn't get over how small you were.
You
Right.
just it
So
took
Maya proceeds to toss me in the air.
it took Maya a lot of staring to contemplate all of you, but she managed to do it.
No.
Managed to do it. Sealed up a lot of information for the.
I did not do a lot of staring and did not grab my other video camera and get both angles.
Yeah, I did not notice that there were pictures of my ass that I truly wasn't aware had been taken.
Oh, there's a lot of pictures you
You
weren't
should see
aware
the ones
of.
we didn't post.
You know how many? You know how many text messages I got from him and Shining of just all kinds of random pictures. I'm like, when'd you guys take these? You know, that's why these bastards are always sitting there with their phones in their hands.
Oh yeah.
You think they're doing something? No, they're just taking pictures.
Well, I was
Constantly.
talking to you the other day here after the podcast or before the podcast, and I'm talking, and like I'm going on about a sensitive subject, and then I just see you with your camera. Like I can't see your face, I just see your phone. And I know you're recording me, so I immediately just stopped talking when you managed to get your recorder going. I'm like, I'm not an idiot. So, but I did get some really epic screen grabs of you as I was watching the Ustream earlier in the day, like one of you eating your pillow. You know, you never wake up on a Saturday afternoon and expect to turn on your iPad and see a person eating their pillow. It's really just not how you plan to spend your weekend.
pillow was my buddy. I needed that pillow.
My pillow has Toads.
You know who that pillow was in my head? That was Emily. I was
Aw.
like, I need my Emily now.
Why were you
Aw.
eating your Emily?
I mean, Spangle Bear, that's private information.
I mean,
Stop it. I didn't mean it like that, you
I mean,
perverts.
I'm just saying, if you don't know how that works,
I read the book you all gave me. All right, well, that's great. Cool story, bro. Gina, why don't we get to a topic?
wait, I got one more thing to say.
throw it out, princess.
Dad, Mom, love you guys.
Dad, Mom.
Don't worry, everything's
I-
good.
You know what? It is funny. One of the members of the We Are Libertarians cast of thousands does think that it's an act. That all of that was fake and made up. That you were like Andy Kaufman and you're just doing a bit. And he
I
said,
mean-
you can't trust anything Maya does or says. That can't be real.
Okay, how many different things? There might be a little bit of character that comes into play when I'm doing stuff. And, I might, ramp it up a little bit. For the most part, I'm real.
Yeah, it comes from a genuine place.
It's all genuine. But have I ever done an acting thing where I've acted something out or just been completely bastardly fake about something?
Not that I can recall.
Do you want me to answer that?
Yes, I do.
Well, I'm not going to. I will say though that
Well, no. There is something I acted. I was a very good actor. For about 25 years of my life, I was
acted like-
acting like a dude.
Right.
That's what I was gonna say, but
you off. It really wasn't your fault.
yeah.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah, who hasn't acted like they've had a cock when they didn't want one?
I mean, I'm pretty sure I've been acting like a
Well,
guy.
I
for the
didn't
last
say I don't
30
want a
years.
cock. It's, dude, I'm not getting into that right now. We'll get on that on Creating Maya.
Right.
Which you can subscribe to at
Wiener stories at Creating Maya.
creating.com. So, no, there is definitely, Maya has a character. Maya has the misanthrope. I'm over the top, outrageous, vulgar character.
Well, the misanthrope part's not a character, but
Yeah,
I'm
that's
going
pretty much
to
her.
I'm going to post on Facebook about how I hate the world and hope you all die. But everybody comes up to me and they say, "How can you be friends with someone like that? Someone so angry and bitter and
I get that
just
sometimes
vulgar."
too. Yeah.
And it's because the Maya that I know,
It's so awesome.
well, no, is really like the person that you saw on Ustream, where they're giggly and like you get Emily and Maya together, and it's just Giggle Fest 2013. Like they're constantly laughing. Speak of the devil.
Hey, Emily.
Come on in, Emily. And they giggle all the time. They're happy. Maya's a little bit of a positive person.
A little bit.
Really just exposed the true Maya
Yeah.
on Saturday on camera. There's lots of tape. So, man, there's a lot of happening over there.
Yeah, we just had a
um,
makeout session on the sofa.
right.
look how
So,
high that slit in that skirt goes. You can almost see her
Almost.
booty. Booty. Depends
There would
if
be
you
a
pin it
lot
up or
of
not.
bending to
please,
get that cooch.
she
in
is a
there.
lady. You almost see her booty.
It's a fact.
No,
say?
but like I told you earlier, I guess I can say now more so than before, and it's hard to remember who I am now compared to who I was at one point in time. But that didn't make any sense.
Not a lick.
Me or you?
I don't know.
This is why Maya's not hosting.
Right.
I got a lot of stuff in my head right now.
Let's ask Emily.
But hold on, I am a very positive, happy-go-lucky person and giggly, but I'm also a very morbid person.
Right.
My natural
yeah.
disposition is morbid.
You said this thing about how you were happy because
When I was seeing you people, I thought you were with me being dead. I was like, we're all dead together. This is awesome. It's like living life sucks. And you got to think that's kind of a play on my mind because
That's what makes Maya happy, thinking we're all
no,
dead
because
together.
Right.
I killed myself, and I kind of just became a new person about a year ago,
right.
Okay.
And so I guess with the Enlightenment tool, it kind of took things a step further and twisted a little bit where I was like, I'm more of a zombie now than a living person.
I am the shell of the old me.
I'm an improved person, and to me, zombies are much better than people.
It just so we were dead. So Emily, what
That's a weird end.
what has the aftermath been like? Have you had to help Maya to the toilet? Sitting up, having a bite of cake, just or have you noticed any weird after effects?
No, not really. We're just as giggly as ever.
Yeah.
But we've got a new giggle tool.
We do.
New giggle tool.
Boop.
Oh my.
So
wish I could
we're
explain
having to
this
beat
better.
around the bush and not say, what it was that Maya used, simply because a lot of the
Because all of this is alleged, and Maya might not have actually done anything, right,
absolutely, and if she did,
I
though,
can neither confirm nor deny anything happening. That's why I say enlightenment tool.
right?
It could have been a really, really expensive, really rare tea.
Maya? Or
Absolutely.
It could have been peyote for all you guys know.
or
Right.
bad pepperoni on a pepperoni pizza. So.
But I bring that up because we're in a situation where the government that we are all subjected to has decided that certain substances should not be legal for use by consenting adults. And I guess that's the question that I want to raise. Where have we gotten as a society that the nanny state can decide what you can and cannot ingest?
Maya's texting.
I'm working right now because one of our contracted
Okay.
people don't
All
know
right,
how
so
to
here's
use
what I would say. Maya and I were talking before the show, and I talked about how there was a time in my life where I would get up at 5 a.m., I'd go to the radio station, I'd produce a morning radio show, I'd get done about 10 o'clock, then I would go and work for my dad till about 3 in the afternoon, then I would go home, change, take a shower, and then go to Donato's and deliver pizzas and close until 1 o'clock in the morning on Fridays.
Jeez.
So I'd work 20 hours straight, and it was pretty tough once you got to Donato's at 5 o'clock. Like,
Oh,
when you
yeah,
wake
you're
up that early,
beat.
you're done by 3.
Yeah.
And I needed a little pick-me-up.
Uh-oh.
So I would go and buy Monster energy drinks.
Oh, my.
So, tricked ya. Yeah, Emily's like, ooh, look out, badass over here. But so I would go in and I'd buy energy drinks, and I kind of settled on one. I don't think it was Monster because Monster tastes terrible. I did like Red Bull. I tried Rockstar. I think Rockstar was the one that I found acceptable.
Right.
But none of them were all that. Red Bull and Rockstar had acceptable tastes in
Right.
my mind. So I would sit there and drink these, and about 3 hours later, I just feel like death
Oh,
after
yeah.
drinking Monster and Rockstar. And then I finally figured out what it was. It was because I was drinking energy drinks, and
Go
I was
figure.
crashing.
Yeah.
And
What is in that shit anyway?
right. So you're telling me that if you go back to the beginning of Coca-Cola, where they had a little smidge, just a smidge of cocaine in it,
Just enough to get you going.
right, just a nice shot in the morning of Coke, you're telling me that that is worse than what's in a Monster energy drink?
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Well,
I don't
and
know.
that Coke, it wasn't cut with anything crazy. It was a lot more pure. It wasn't over-processed. It wouldn't have nasty crap put in it. Nobody was being a dickhead and putting, like, I don't know what else they put in it. Like,
Technical term.
yeah, shit, yo.
Shit, yo.
So, like, they weren't, it was more natural stuff back then, too. They used real sugar. I
Right.
mean, do you think taking a little bit of cocaine's worse than drinking high fructose corn syrup all over the place?
With taurine and caffeine and all other enes.
And over-processed, over-chemical...
Right. I mean, at this point, GMO corn is probably worse than cocaine back in the day.
Don't you talk shit about GMOs.
GMOs are bullshit.
I'm down with GMOs.
Are you fucking serious?
I only eat GMOs and processed foods and
That's a goddamn lie.
and triglycerides. I
All I'm
love a
saying-
big bag of triglycerides before I go to bed.
And I always put an extra heaping dose of mercury on my fish.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I saw a really funny, is it meme or mem today? Whatever you want to call it.
Mimi.
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 That
That's how you say
said,
it.
Is it
It's,
legitimate?
it's
Mimi.
legitimately Mimi.
Okay, well, I saw an awesome Mimi today that said, thank you
Don't
guys.
spoil it, Maya.
It
You almost
said,
got her.
You
It's
guys-
not Mimi.
I hate you guys so much.
We stopped
right.
talking.
There's a mem that says if Monsanto is so proud of their food, then why don't they label it? Which is what so many people are fighting for, is to have the GMO foods labeled.
Wait, so Monsanto is Kellogg now? Monsanto makes food now? Since when?
Well, Monsanto produces all sorts of seeds. That
Much
are
like
grown in-
Maya's-
Farmers grow crops.
But let me
they sell
interject with
crops,
this.
then it gets processed, then it gets turned into food.
Right.
Let me interject with this. Much like Maya's mind on Saturday, we are drifting off
Right.
topic. So let's
Wait,
get
what
back
was our topic?
drugs.
Oh,
Oh.
right.
And
drugs.
should we legalize drugs?
Well,
Maya,
Of course
go.
we should.
should we legalize drugs? Yes, we should. I mean, okay.
But for the sake of devil's advocates, you took something. We don't know what you might have taken, but at the end of the day, because it's illegal, you might not know what you took either.
It might have been illegal.
It might have been illegal. It might have been legal. But even if it was illegal and you knew exactly what you had bought, do you really know what's in that?
No, I don't. And
Well,
so,
then that's not
the-
very safe. Why
that's the
would
point.
we allow people to harm themselves like that?
Allow people to.
allow.
That's right.
Since when do we allow people to do things or not do things? Well, I mean, last 100 years or so, we've really jumped on that bandwagon. But
We're just doing it to protect
okay.
you, Maya.
you know what happens if I would have gone into a therapist or somewhere else and said, I'm not feeling real great. I got a lot of shit on my mind I don't want there. Oh, you know
Here's a
what?
Pharmaceutical.
It would have been a couple $100 a month for therapy, and then they would have given me pharmaceuticals that would have permanently damaged my mind. That's okay because somebody paid the FDA a couple $1 million for studies and shit. But I can't go do something, and who listens to this show really? But you got
What was that? Where did that come from?
places.
there's no pharmacology students listening to this goddamn show, but. If you are listening, so I'm sorry, keep listening.
And let us know.
But
All
your
that
life
stuff-
is
Shout out.
your life is a sham.
But all
Your
these
whole life is a fraud.
all these things are legal and they're sold. They make lots of money, and the government likes them and everything else. But what I did, I don't know exactly what's in it. But do you know what's in that nasal spray? Do you know all the side effects of what's in that nasal spray? No, it's labeled on the side. Do you know what it's actually doing? No, you don't. You take your
But Spangle has somebody he can hold accountable if shit goes seriously awry.
me too. Do you not see what's laying on me next to the couch?
Right?
I can handle my own too. I don't need the government or somebody else to go fix my problems. But that's also kind of the free market. I thought about who I was asking about things. I thought about where I went, and I was okay with it. I felt pretty okay with everything there. Versus I don't know. It's so rough thinking about this, and the same thing happens. There's been cases where your pharmaceutical pills aren't what you think they are.
Right.
They've been cut with placebos or something. Then you got vitamins you buy from the store because they've allowed things to get so crappy out there.
But
Is that-
how is my drugs might be bad too, so your drugs are okay an argument?
No. It's not that. It's
Just
nothing
see what I'm
that's
saying?
fully 100% foolproof, and it's never gonna be. And that's why we should legalize drugs, because the market would work itself out and provide us with the best quality product, and for the best price, anyways. But you get all these drugs, and there's no oversight. There's no way, because everything's secret when everything's illegal. There's no way for you to go, hey, who'd this come from?
Right.
Why you asking who it came from, yo? Get the fuck out, you cop.
Right. And that's what I meant when
That's
I
a good
said
impression.
Spangle has somebody he can hold accountable. He can follow the trail from the Walgreens to the manufacturer to
Yeah.
and you not so much with the enhancement tool that you used this weekend.
Enlightenment tool.
Right. So I guess the point that we all probably agree on is that consenting adults don't need a nanny state to tell them what they can and can't ingest, or should and shouldn't ingest,
Or can make, or
And-
can plant,
And
or
if
can
the
grow.
nanny state's going to take that role, they should probably do it a little better, because if they're allowing us to eat bullshit garbage and calling it food product,
And
Which
subsidize it,
I really
too.
thought that restaurant was gonna make it. I thought Bullshit Garbage had a chance.
I mean,
I loved their sewage
they were
burger.
fine until they went all anti-gay rights.
Right.
She's just translating McDonald's.
I know.
But no, and Taco Bell can call their meat when it's not really meat.
They have
Ugh.
changed it to protein now.
Protein product.
Here's what I would say. I would say that the majority of people who go to their doctor who get something from a guy in a white coat trust that person implicitly, where they don't know that person may have been paid a lot of money to prescribe that certain drug, to push that certain drug.
Right.
That's why you have these pharmaceutical reps. Anybody our age knows one of our pretty high school friends who worked as a pharmaceutical rep, who goes out and pushes drugs for a pharmaceutical company, and their only qualification for that job
Is
is that
being
they're
pretty.
they're attractive.
Yeah.
And
Well, they have good salesmanship skills.
right.
Well, no.
You
they-
can't just be pretty and push stuff.
No, you
Just
can.
pretty is porn.
Because if your doctor needs a product, he knows what he or she knows what they need. It's not like you
That's
showing
true.
up selling it is going to
That's
make us
true.
an iota iota's bit of difference as to whether or not they need to order Viagra because
Right.
they've got a bunch of limp dick old men. Like, the product that they need is the product that they need, no matter how smart, pretty, or good you are at salesmanship.
Or how
So-
much you offer in benefits.
So it's essentially you're showing up as a drug rep, as an overpaid prostitute to deliver drugs.
Because what are they going to? Okay, so you've got Cialis,
Prostitute's a stretch.
Cialis or Viagra or
Right.
Celexa or Paxil or
And which way your doctor goes is going to depend on how pretty the rep was for which individual company.
right. And so that you don't really do a lot of research into what you're taking. You don't know whether Celexa or Paxil may be right for you. You trust the trained professional. You don't know if Concentra or Ritalin.
How many penile pills do you know about?
These are not penile pills. Only one of them was. I know a
Okay.
lot of drug names.
I thought Celexa was too, but I could be wrong.
Celexa is like Paxil, which are sort of like not Xanax, like
Prozac.
Prozac. Yeah,
Okay.
they're uptake inhibitors or whatever they're called. So when you go in, you just trust your doctor that your doctor knows what they're talking about when they prescribe you some medication. Maya sat down and did her research and tried and find reputable people who, as much as you can trust anything, there was a decision that went into the particular enhancement tools that had been purchased. I don't know if people necessarily take that into account when they go to a doctor, and that's basically what's wrong with our entire medical
How messed
system.
up is it that your weekend was more responsible than going to the doctor and getting a prescription?
It was too.
That's what I'm
we
saying.
took many precautions. I took a lot of things into account. Did a lot of reading,
I took in a few things myself.
and and then everyone that takes those erectile dysfunction, dick pills, they don't have a clue what that's doing to them. And I
Right.
talked about this. We're kind of going over a subject I talked about a couple weeks ago on this show, but it bears mentioning again because nobody knows what this shit's doing to them. And the Enlightenment tool I took, really, the side effects on that are so highly limited compared to how much you'd have to take to get serious adverse side effects to what people like. I know somebody was taking Chantix when they're still prescribing it as a antidepressant in the military. He literally had to fight himself not to kill people. He
Holy
took it for
shit.
4 days and almost killed everyone he came in contact with. And he almost didn't make it back to the doctor's office driving because he was imagining running everyone off the road and killing them.
Oh my god.
I took Concentra, which is like Ritalin, which is an ADHD medication, 2005. I couldn't concentrate at all. It turns out I just was really, really bored at work, and I needed to find something better to do with my life than that job. And, it did help. I did feel more energetic. I lost a little weight. I did concentrate better, but I was extremely angry all the time. And I just stopped taking it, and I didn't get my prescription refilled because I'm like, okay, I can concentrate a little bit better, but I want to punch every single person on the planet in the face.
That's terrifying.
I
had
felt
no
like
idea.
Maya all the time.
What? Well, and then
Except for Saturday.
there's that. But then you got to think about the legalization thing is, I always like throwing this out there. It took a constitutional amendment to ban alcohol.
Right.
But all it takes is a bunch of dickheads going, oh, we don't like that, to ban everything else in the world.
Right.
And, they honestly don't ban these drugs because they think they're harmful. That's the campaign they use. You can go look back and look how hemp and pot was banned.
Oh my
These
god.
companies made up attack campaigns
Yep.
saying that if you smoke pot, you were going to become a Satanist and you were going to worship Satan and commit suicide in a cult.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
more cynical and insidious than that. William Randolph Hearst, who was
get
the
it.
Rupert Murdoch of his day, owned a lot of newspapers, a lot of media outlets, a lot of radio stations,
Uh-huh.
and he also owned a company that competed with hemp that made ropes. And so he put his competition out of business by tying hemp to marijuana and making everyone terrified of marijuana. And hemp, I was on the radio on the Gary Snyder show, who heard here every day on Indiana Talks, and was arguing with a conservative and liberal, and they're like, I think hemp should be illegal. I just don't think people
It's
should
because
be
you are a fucking idiot.
right. I just don't want people going around smoking this stuff. I'm like, they can smoke it all they want, but there's no THC.
Their lungs are going to hurt.
Right.
They'll smoke a corn
That's
cob.
smoke
I mean,
paper, yeah.
right.
And then, you know what's funny about America is,
America.
we're
America. America, we love that. We love that war. We love that murderous war. We love our soldiers and our troops. But you know what? You know what basically won World War II? Was goddamn hemp rope.
Yep.
Why isn't there like a
The Constitution's written on hemp. If I'm not
American
mistaken.
revival, the founding fathers, and hemp saved the world in the war.
Right.
Why don't we bring back hemp? Where are the people, the Americans, fighting for the hemp rope? I mean, America needs to have the hemp rope back.
Well, when we were
have hemp
talking,
product in America, we can grow our own fuel. We don't have to support them towel heads.
Hold on, Gina. She's on a roll.
oh yeah, but
I
she
don't know
ended
where
in
it's going
Towelhead,
with
so it's done.
Yeah, you killed
I
it.
don't know where
Hold on,
When-
Gina, hold on. I got this. The opinions expressed by Maya Axton in this program are not necessarily those of Gina Martinez, Chris Spangle,
if you're on
the
this
WAL
program, you
Radio
support
Network,
every goddamn thing I say.
or Indiana Talks. Thank
Everyone
you. Have
that's
a nice
on
day.
this program
you.
endorses.
Well,
Gary,
the point that
Gary
I was
Snyder, Gary
Nah.
Snyder is not responsible for this.
Gary Snyder loves
to
this
this
show.
content. The point that I was trying to make is that when this debacle went down with hemp that we're discussing, it was the same legislative session where the income tax was instituted. And it wasn't that hemp was outlawed, it was that you had to have a permit
Tax stamp.
to trade or carry it. And then they refused to issue any permits.
You still here in Indiana, you can get a stamp for pot. Okay, so you can get a bale of pot or whatever the measurement is, and you can get a stamp of $2.50. You pay the tax for the stamp, and then that makes your pot legal. But the problem is
They won't
you
allow
can't
it.
show up with illegal pot to make it legal. So you basically would have to incriminate yourself to get the legal stamp. But the law is still on the books. It's still a $2.50 tax. My good friend Bill Levin was explaining that, and if you're interested in more of that, then check in with
Check
Bill.
him out. Yeah.
Check in with Bill Levin, and he can fill you in on that.
You can also check out Jack Hare, the emperor of pot, essentially. He's passed away now, but that's a lot
Well,
of great information there.
Indiana Normal.
Yeah.
NORML.
Yep.
Indiana Normal. Check them out. Also check out LEAP, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition.
Yeah.
Those are some halfway decent cops that don't suck.
And so what do we do to combat it? If we can't wait on our legislator to unfuck what they have already fucked, what do we do to combat it? And here's one thought that I've seen done. Anyway, so in the event, what's a way to counteract these measures? And one of the more creative ways that I have heard of being used is that, like we've been talking about hemp and marijuana here, and I think everyone acknowledges that something like 60% of people will admit in a survey to having smoked it, as far as adults go.
Everyone in this room has except Spangle.
Allegedly.
Emily has not. Emily is a nice, clean young lady. I will say that I think the push for medical marijuana was genius.
Right.
Because what that did is that made it an emotional issue. What are you going to do? Are you going to tell
A cancer patient.
a cancer patient that's dying of pain?
Hold on.
You know,
That's a cop-out. The whole medical Okay, medical people can grow marijuana if you have a license and you pay all these special permits. I can't make half the chemicals that they put in pharmaceuticals in my backyard.
Right.
Do you know they use heroin
Yeah,
and
but-
painkillers? and crap?
Okay,
I can't
mean,
grow heroin.
but here is the flip side
Yep.
to that. What they did is they pushed for medical marijuana. They got it in California. A few short years later, Colorado goes fully legalized.
Right.
And now that's starting to fall like a domino. The medical marijuana system in California is a joke. You
Right.
stub your toe.
And the feds are busting people left and right, and still
For no-
throwing people in jail.
But my point
But
was,
societal attitudes will soon change.
so if we were going to counteract it, the one effective measure that I have seen or heard of people doing is if as an adult you have admitted to smoking it and you happen to have the byproduct of smoking marijuana, which is generally, as I understand it, seeds and stems.
Yes.
I have known of people to
What is that queef stuff? It's in the
Whoa,
bottom.
baby, that's keef, not queef.
Oh,
That's something
Queef
completely
is something
different.
a woman does that makes
Yeah.
yeah. do out of their ass.
Okay.
Seed scattering. I can't even do this now. My point was seed scattering, and not the kind that you're thinking of with queefs. but
Wait,
the
you
kind
can scatter with the queef.
but the kind that you're thinking of with keef.
Oh, keef. Okay, I've seen that on Reddit.
That was awesome. That was
That was the
F-bomb
best
awesome.
segment of my show ever.
You know when you're smoking weed and you get the queefs.
It happens to me all the time.
And then you scatter the seeds to make it all right.
So Gina, you were
Yes.
saying.
No, that's it. Seed bomb the planet and make it grow again. because
Grow
it
green.
was-
Hashtag grow green. I'm
Exactly.
starting that for Indy.
Right.
Indy's going to be hashtag grow green. Everybody take
Johnny
your seeds.
Appleweed. That's all I'm
Johnny
saying.
Appleweed. Yes. And you know what? We know it grows well here.
Yeah.
You plant it in
Do
tree
you know how
lines.
hard it was for them to wipe it out when they tried to pull this
Oh,
junk?
good Lord.
Yeah.
Well, you go plant it in tree lines. Birds eat that.
Yep.
Birds and rabbits will eat that, and the seeds will get planted.
I mean,
I wondered,
Everywhere.
I
So you
wondered
know
why
what
the
I'll do?
birds were singing Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain outside my window the other day.
Have you ever seen a mockingbird sing Bob Marley? I have.
I'm guessing it was Saturday.
No, actually, it wasn't. I was 100% sober, no enlightenment tools.
When I had at the last apartment that we lived at, we had a little back patio. We were on
How
the
many
first floor.
apartments have you guys cohabitated near each other
Not,
in?
Maya and I
Just
didn't
one.
live in the apartment
Okay.
together.
Okay.
But
Not yet.
I mean,
yeah.
day
We're
is
getting a
short.
condo in Indy, and we're all going to live together in a big commune, and Gina's coming
Could you imagine?
and is being locked in the bedroom and never allowed to leave.
There's just too many germs in that scenario. So
I'm excited.
and a lot of drugs.
No,
So
enlightenment tools.
so enlightenment tools are bad. Okay. So we had this back patio, and the next door neighbor had rocks, but then she'd have like these giant weeds growing out of the back of the rocks in her back patio, and they just would grow really fast. Like her son would come and cut them down because she was like in her 80s, and then 2 weeks later when he'd come back, they'd be like 6 feet tall, and. So I was out there planting tomatoes because I had dug up all the grass and had planted tomatoes and peppers and all kinds of things. And she goes, "You know what was in my backyard, don't you? Weed."
Nice.
And she said it all accusatory because I'm 26, so she's at the time, so she's like, "It must be the whippersnapper next door growing his weed. He likes to plant things." And I said, "No, that wasn't mine, ma'am." I said it as like, "No, ma'am, that was not my weed. I promise you." And so it grew like every 2 weeks. It just would be 6 feet tall. It basically was people who would sit on the back patio upstairs on the second floor and just flick their seeds and stems into the ground.
Right.
So I'm saying
Queef it all over the place.
Just queef it everywhere.
they were queefing
Scatter that
all over the place.
seed.
So I'm thinking that your plan has some merit that it might actually work.
Yeah. No, I mean, I say that because I know of.
Several stems
Well,
and seeds that you might
I was
have.
just gonna say, like, historically, I've heard stories of a great deal of individuals who have been known to scatter them. So there's a good head start.
And now we must also note that it is illegal
Oh, absolutely.
to do this.
Yeah, don't. It's illegal to have it. If you've got it, you've done something illegal.
Now,
if you're capable of.
If anyone
I'm
has
sorry.
an awesome idea, is you go downtown Indy, every crevice you can find that has dirt, that has plants growing in it, all those potted plants all over the place downtown, next to the trees.
Do it preferably like on the west side of town, away from Wheeler Mission, because then it'll have a chance to grow.
So there's a leaf on that plant, smoke it.
Yeah.
So
I
that's what and then everyone remember, if you are looking for a tool to improve upon your dastardly situation called life, there is something called Tor, Tor. It's a browser that is 100% safe and secure. Download Tor, install Tor, then Google Silk Road. You don't have to Google, just it's like the only way you can get to the Silk Road is through Tor, by the way. So, like, you can't go to the Silk Road without Tor. If you think you went to the Silk Road without Tor,
You are
you're
being
gonna
set
get
up.
arrested.
Yeah. Knock knock.
You're an idiot. Have fun in jail.
What is this? Got dirty pictures on there?
No, Silk Road is a gray and black market tool. And you get on there and you can buy, say if you can't go to the doctor and get a prescription, you don't have insurance, you can buy prescription drugs on there. You can buy non-prescription drugs on there. You can buy just about anything you could think of, but it's a gray and black market, which means it's not sanctioned. The
What is a
government's-
gray market?
A gray market is basically buying something legal outside of normal means. I guess is the easy, like,
But isn't that a black market?
no.
That would be things that are illegal through illegal.
Yeah, like
Ugh.
I could go buy a fully automatic AK-47 without a license on the black market. I could, however, go buy, cigarettes in New York are really expensive. and they ship them in without the tax stamp, that's kind of a gray market because cigarettes are legal,
Right.
Gotcha.
but you're kind of pushing the boundaries. Farmers markets, because you're not collecting taxes, are kind of gray markets. There's a big definition, but agorism, if you Google that, is built around the idea of only using gray and black markets to purchase goods.
Gotcha.
But that's Tor, Silk Road, check it out. And they accept there's a lot of different ways it works.
They accept Visa, MasterCard, check.
Bitcoin,
I mean, I'm
Liberty Dollars,
certain-
if they were still around.
I've heard of it, but I've never visited.
I set up Tor and went to
Whoa.
Silk Road once, just strictly see what it is, and to get there, and all they had were a bunch of drugs I didn't want, and I just never went back.
I couldn't find the drugs I did want.
I never have done anything illegal that I know of in my life.
But isn't everything illegal? Like, it's illegal.
You commit 4 felonies a day.
Yeah, if you sell your car on the side of the street in your driveway with a for sale sign, it's illegal in Indianapolis. You can't sell your car by owner in your driveway in Indianapolis.
You also can't sell a vehicle on Sunday in Indiana. The
You
entire
also
state.
can't remodel your bathroom without permission. It's illegal.
You can't go fishing. You can't
Now
put
here,
a canoe
here, Gina,
into
this
a
is
river.
a subject for you. I posted about this earlier. You technically can get, as of right now, starting July 1st or so, 2014,
Yep.
it's going to change, but 3 years, a $10,000 fine, 3 years in jail and up to a $10,000 fine if you file for a same-sex marriage in Indiana.
Which pisses me off like you could not believe.
Now, I must stipulate that this isn't a law specifically made against people that do this one thing. You are falsifying documents that you are officially filing to the state government. You are falsifying information. That penalty, if I went in there,
I would have to see how the marriage license form is written in Indiana.
you have a male form and a female form, is from what I'm understanding.
Okay, because it would make sense if it were bride and groom, but male and female doesn't necessarily make sense to
If
me.
I'm to the best of my knowledge, it's male and female.
Right. Because I
Um,
know that I have some friends who
I filled out a marriage application and I don't remember this crap.
I have some friends who are lesbians, and they had a ceremony performed at the state house in protest. And before they had the ceremony, they went to have a marriage license filed, and they filled out the paperwork, but the lady refused to file it.
Well, because she could have got the lady that filed it. She could have been charged with the crime as well and lost her job.
Well, this was probably 2000. What is this? 2013. So it was probably 2011, 2010.
That was still a law. If you knowingly file falsified documents, you can get in trouble as well. And this would be no different than if I went into a government building, filled out paperwork, and checked the female box on everything.
As I understand it, they didn't check the female box or the male. I'm sorry, that no one checked the male box. So they each filled out the information. Their names were, let's say their names were Abigail and Cynthia. And so one of them really did have male characteristics. So it wasn't as though the clerk was immediately aware that these were two women. She honestly thought that it was a heterosexual couple that was standing in front of her filling out this paperwork.
Yeah.
But when she looked over and saw that the box wasn't checked, that is when it became an issue, and she refused to take the form and file it. So they were denied the opportunity to falsify documents. Essentially, they were denied the opportunity to file for this license, which I personally believe could have led to a lawsuit. I believe they could have sued the state of Indiana for not allowing them to file that paperwork and fought it from there. It seems to me as though the first person that gets picked up for this alleged quote-unquote crime and
Oh, hold on. People already have.
they need to start fighting it.
You know, no, hold on. People already get arrested for this and get charged with a felony for falsifying information with the state. Like I said, it'd be no different. I went and tried to apply for welfare and lied on the document. When you
it would be
sign
different,
something
though.
at the bottom,
Mhm.
it says you hereby, state that all information is true to the best of your ability.
Mhm.
If you knowingly falsify information on government paperwork, you're gonna get charged with the felony.
But you don't have to falsify information, is my point. You don't have to say I am a man in order to file a, or I am a woman in order to file
You know what?
a
We
document.
honestly need to look up a thing. I'm going to read this horribly shitty post that Chris Spangle made, and then I'm going to break all of his toes.
Before you do that, though, my only point here is that if someone ends up serving jail time over trying to file for a marriage license in the state of Indiana, they should absolutely fight that to the fullest extent that they are capable, all the way to the Supreme Court, because you absolutely have a right to apply for a license to have the state recognize your relationship.
The problem is that everything is interconnected, so there are multiple different laws, and it could be paper cut by 1,000 different deaths. So as soon as you think you found one little technicality,
Right.
there could be another dozen technicalities that the opposition can come back with you. Fortunately, the public at large is on our side with this issue, and the culture is moving forward.
And I can't wait to see Pence wake up and realize that and
Yeah.
have a shock next time
He
go to
knows
vote.
it, but he truly believes what he says, and if he doesn't, he is representing people who truly believe that. The culture war is lost on this issue. Like,
Right.
it just is.
In the event that somebody does get charged, though, I really feel that they should fight it as far as they can, and let SCOTUS decide whether or not anyone should be charged with a felony for trying to get married. Because it seems to me that common sense dictates that that's out of control. Okay, what the hell is happening on Facebook that has everybody in this room giggling?
Okay.
I made a post, and I was done ever being on We Are Libertarians just because I wasn't a good fit for me, and I was actually being really nice and honest about not being on We Are Libertarians anymore, and just stepping down and not causing any more shit or problems or long drawn out arguments where me and Creighton, bitch. We're going back and forth for 45 minutes on something and killing, Chris having to edit. So what does he do?
I see.
He rewrote my post.
No, I just copied and pasted and then just changed out a few words.
Tonight was my final time on We Are Libertarians. I have decided I really do not have the intellectual fortitude to continue arguing the righteous cause of anarchy against people vehemently against it. I cannot for another minute sit through a 50-minute lecture on why government is dumb and why anarchy is dumb and why statism is grand. You didn't change that one. You're an idiot.
I know. I thought about changing it, but I left it.
I have my own shows. I have my shows, The Uncontrollables and Creating Mind. They can be my outlets to talk about the ideologies and topics I can't read right now and find best suited for the liberty-minded individual. An absolute blast being on We're Libertarians every time I was on there, and hopefully brought at least some valuable substitute. But like I said, I just cannot do it any longer. Thanks, Chris Spangle, Joe Ruiz, Greg Lenz, Creighton the fuckface,
Gina Martinez.
and Gina Martinez for all the good times. I wish you all the absolute best of luck with the show, and hopefully either Greg becomes a token anarchist or you find another that's easier to handle on the show.
And
which
so
I thought was very nice.
It was.
very honest, and you bastardize it, you piece of shit.
And so earlier today, I was sitting in my office and I was thinking, okay, so Gina and I are going to we're going to do the show tonight. It would be hilarious if I just copied Maya's post and I changed out anarchist for constitutional Republican, and then my shows for her shows. And, and so far it's got 7 likes. It's all in good fun. So, yeah, everybody kept private messaging Maya and I going, "Are you two mad at each other?"
Oh, people
Because-
were so worried
yeah.
that we were like pissed at each other or something. It's
Right.
like,
Well, I was concerned too. I even called after the show and said, like, did I do something wrong? Like, it gets super weird every time you're on the show, and I get mad at you because you're making faces and grunting, and like you can't stand because you're not controlling the show. And then
no, it's not
I
that.
get-
It's that you guys are saying you're wrong.
Right.
You're spreading disinfo. You're absolutely wrong. You're a week behind on the news, so you're talking about crap that's already been changed. Or Creighton or somebody else is trying to talk to me about how the state is good for me, and maybe we should just pass another goddamn law. Yes, because you know what? You know what's funny? I haven't heard for a long time Creighton refer to himself as an anarcho-capitalist.
It's
I
been
think
a
he
while.
dropped it because he has Republican dick to suck. And so he has to just be like, man, if I say the anarcho word, they won't let me suck their dick anymore. Where am I going to get my protein feed? I need that
Taco
to
Bell.
survive in this political world. Yeah.
I will say, though, that part of what you don't understand is that you don't have to convert the people on the show. The part of the reason is,
No,
like,
hey,
there are a
no,
few
but
things that you're
like
going
this-
to convert us to. The whole point of the show is to expose people to various strains of libertarianism and let them sort
But
it out
the
for
problem
themselves.
is that he goes on a 15-minute rant the other day to tell me that I thought the incrementalism would fail because it's hard.
Gina, don't you hate when people go on 15-minute rants?
It amuses me.
No, but he never said more than that one thing. Then when you ask him about Egypt, you know what he did? He went on a 20-minute rant basically saying nothing more than that our government or populace has no idea what's going on over in Egypt.
Right. All right. So, Gina.
Yep.
What's going on?
Emily and I are over here looking at baby pictures on Facebook, essentially, and other random things.
Well, it's been 59 minutes into the show. When can we stop?
Hold on, no,
I
you had
held a baby
topics.
for the majority of the day, and it absolutely loved the shit out of me.
Oh, I bet.
Oh.
Gina's
Isis is the
kid.
cutest
God,
little
she's
baby.
adorable.
I'm gonna keep taking more and more pictures because it's hashtag Libertarian baby.
I'm Tina. I'm Team Gina with an E. I'm Team Dante.
Well, we don't have to pick. You can love them both.
No,
well, I've
I'm
never
gonna
seen
pick.
your kid. I'm always around Isis, so
Right.
Yeah.
like Isis like looks at me and Evan is like, oh,
Uncle-
that poor kid. When as she grows up, she's gonna have the weirdest uncles and aunts.
This I do have to throw out there, though,
My
today.
uncle loves chainsaws.
That's true.
Uncle or aunt?
Aunt, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna
God damn it.
bash you with
I
this
did it
goddamn
No,
again.
no, no.
microphone.
That's
I
funny
feel bad.
because my kids have had
Sorry.
a really good friend of mine is Uncle Josh, and whomever his partner is always Aunt whomever. So
I
like
fucked up.
Uncle Josh and Aunt Chris,
I
and
s-
Uncle Josh and Aunt Jeff.
Yeah, I screwed up the joke because the joke is funny because I said aunt, but then I said uncle.
Oh, bummer.
Here, I'm gonna start it over again. And we'll edit this out. Why does my aunt love chainsaws so much? See,
That
much
does make
better.
it funnier.
Thank
yeah.
you. Thank
So I have to throw this out there today.
God
This
damn it.
this hit me as just the epitome of irony. I assume everybody who's listening to this show is definitely aware of the Snowden situation and the NSA bullshit that he exposed. Sorry, you're gonna have to bleep that out. Am I
No,
awful
I don't
now?
have to believe that.
Oh, okay.
Fuck.
Okay. I'll make a habit of not saying it. So yes, exactly.
You're supposed to say it.
God damn it. Fuck.
There you go.
Okay, so we're all aware of the situation with Snowden. We're all aware that the government is pursuing him. We're all aware that they are in cahoots with every government they can get a hold of, trying to get him extradited back here so that we can hold him as for treason, stick him in a cell, and possibly execute him because that seems like the logical thing to do. Now, today while I'm on Facebook, I happened to receive Barack Obama's propaganda. And the me that came into my feed was a picture of our commander-in-chief, and it says, in quotes, "What we need in this fight are citizens who will stand up and speak up and compel us to do what this moment demands." And I thought to myself, holy shit. The same man who is chasing down the one motherfucker with balls enough to tell us all what's going down and put us all in the know on what our government is doing is running because he had the balls to stand up and speak up and compel us to do what this moment demanded. Now, what was President Barack Obama talking about in this me? Hashtag act on climate.
Ugh.
So it's real important that we all stand up and speak
Well,
out about climate.
Right.
Everyone does need to start paying attention to the whole climate
Of
change
course.
and hashtags because they're getting ready to put in a whole bunch of new regulations, especially geared towards industries and power companies.
Yeah.
To our benefit or to our detriment?
To our detriment. It's
Of
about
course.
limiting greenhouse gases and shit.
Yeah.
Even if you, and I have said before, I'm not a climate change denier. I just think humans have less to do with it than
I'm against
than-
man-made global climate change.
Right. I think we may cause a portion of it, but not to the point that we have to destroy whole industries. Like there
There is a point to be made, and we've talked about this in length before, is that there's some nasty-ass companies out there, and there's some
Sure.
horrible practices out there.
Yeah,
But some of the
absolutely.
horrible practices, you know what? I'd rather have the trade-off. Let us burn the shit out of trash so we don't dump it in places that it shouldn't go. Let us burn trash. Like,
Well, I
that's a good compromise, is let us burn trash that doesn't end up in a freaking ocean.
A lot of it too, though, is let us not produce shit that will never decompose. Let us not produce shit that will leach into our water system. Let us not produce shit that is toxic for all of mankind, no matter what.
But why I saw
And it doesn't
John's-
have to be a law so much
Yeah.
as a cultural shift.
Well,
we
that-
don't need this much fucking plastic, no matter what you tell me.
Well,
You'll
Greek
never convince
yogurt
me.
has a byproduct that's highly toxic.
I mean, so does aspirin.
called gas.
Greek yogurt has a byproduct that's highly toxic, and so if it leached into our food supply or our water supply, would we all die?
Hey, by the way, the federal government mandated that all yogurt served in schools must now be Greek yogurt.
Is that a fact or are you
That's a fact.
bullshitting
The
me?
fact
Yes.
that came out today. They
Oh, wow.
Everyone go right now and tell all your friends, all your family that eat Greek yogurt and want this to Google how they make Greek yogurt. It will amaze you how wasteful it is and that there's a bunch of nasty byproducts you can't do a goddamn thing with. So Google that before you guys feel good about Greek yogurt or something. Just realize you're destroying the environment for Greek yogurt and wasting a boatload of resources.
Well, I saw
Congratulations.
Johnson a couple years ago. Johnson Johnson had a series of ads out talking about how they had converted their plants to be, carbon neutral. And it struck me that the marketplace was already working, that Johnson & Johnson thought that they could gain a monetary edge against their competitors by explaining that they were a responsible chemical company and were carbon neutral, and that here are the steps that they're taking to protect the environment. They didn't do that because of regulations. They did it because they thought that they could sell more products by stating that fact.
Well,
so I
yeah.
think Gina's right with the cultural change. It has to be a cultural shift because there have been people who are heavily involved in the climate change movement who work for the administration now. I just can't think of their names, who are on record, and I've heard the tape of them saying, we have to destroy the economies of the BRIC nations, Brazil, Russia, India, and China, because we cannot
And
let
South-
them we can't let them grow, because if they do, then they will just turn into the world's biggest polluters.
If we exported free market ideals and we exported technology without government interference, those places they're already doing better than we did when we went through our industrial revolutions. They are already working with better technology and better stuff. It's a huge thing, but I think government's in the way of us being friendly to the environment. This was episode 19 of the Uncontrollables. Remember, when we hit our 6-month mark, we are having a party. We're going to go out downtown. I haven't worked out all the details yet. I'm not really sure what's going to happen, but I think it's going to be like a 24th episode, is that 6 months?
Half of 52. It's close enough.
Yeah.
You probably missed one or two.
24, 25. No, I haven't missed a week since. All 19 weeks I've made it.
I'm going to show up and ruin your anniversary party like you did mine.
Mine's going to be at a bar with a lot of alcohol.
Yeah.
You can come shake that booty like you did in my house the other day. You were trying so hard. After Gina was shaking her nice little booty, you got up there and you just kind of wagged your tail.
Oh, buddy, if I twerked, you'd lose your mind.